actually you start to see the quality of work that you're after. Thank you.
Before I start, I'd just like to introduce myself with a little bit of a story. I'm on the research and data team inside the foundation, the R&D team, but we also do a little bit of R&D in the way that Linda described it. And one of the people I like to rip off is actually Linda herself, and in response to some of the critique of our highly publicized measures of effective teaching work, which often has gotten constructed in terms of what it means and the implications for firing teachers. Linda famously responded, you know, we can't fire our way to Finland. I took that, I think that's a very important point. I took that to one of the senior foundation leaders and said, hey, we can't fire our way to Finland. And he looked at me and said, Ash, even the Gates Foundation can't fund our way to Finland either. So we have to find a way. We can neither fire our way to Finland, we can't fund our way to Finland. But if the academic aspirations that are embedded in Finland are our goal, then we're going to have to get there together. So I'm happy to be part of a collective movement, a collective body of people in California who do want to find ways to get there together. I think performance tasks are at the heart of it, and I'm going to introduce how the foundation has been investing in performance tasks in both literacy and mathematics in forms of direct supports for teachers. Of course, this work at the foundation is rooted in the Common Core standards. The mantra of fewer, clearer, and higher is critical. It's one that resonates across the foundation. I think that the earlier presentation on Moore's Law made the powerful case why fewer matters. If information is what you're focused on, you'll never catch up with the amount of information that's being developed. If understanding is your goal, then we need to focus on the fewer standards that are attainable and that help kids learn more through their lifetime. They also have to be clear. It can't be a laundry list of standards. We have to find ways to think about how the standards get integrated into practice. And finally, higher. What does this mean for college and career readiness? I was glad that that was one of the questions in our task cards. That is the goal of the foundation, to support a college and career readiness agenda for K-12 education. So where have we made our investments? We definitely went right to the classroom. And so this title of this is From Common Core to the Instructional Core. And that's referencing Richard Elmore's work about the work that teachers and students do together. And how do we more predictably make that work more rigorous, more challenging, more engaging, and more likely to get students college and career ready. I'll start with a little description of our math investments, but I will say this. California has a deep imprint in our work. Scholars at UC Berkeley have been vital in shaping the work of our math work, both Berkeley and the Shell Center from the UK. David Foster from the Silicon Valley Math Initiative is here. We also reached out to scholars from Stanford for the literacy work, so we've balanced Stanford and Berkeley in this work. We did better than that. In fact, we have UCLA involved, so we have Northern and Southern California represented. So this work really does represent the entire state. In terms of the math work, it's really around building what we call, or what Berkeley and the Shell Center call, formative assessment lessons. And there are ways of nuggets of lessons, two-day lessons, which help students focus on the conceptual understanding of mathematics. Marilyn Burns, you may know her from Math Solutions, often suggests that the rush to get to the right answer masks a lack of understanding. And these lessons are designed to surface understanding. We have 20 formative assessment lessons that we've invested in. And one of the greatest results of this work that I found is that after we've been piloting these 20, one of the most important pieces of feedback we've gotten is from teachers who have been using them, we need more. So we've invested in 60 more of these formative assessment lessons, these two-day lessons. They're not designed to replace the curriculum. They're designed to be dropped into the curriculum at appropriate times to deepen understanding. So teachers would use them as a way of helping students take a step back and really embracing whether they get what's going on. And this is sort of the regimen with which They're used in classes. Another person who's been involved in this work, Ann Shannon, has a great way of describing how these formative assessment lessons compare to other approaches to teaching mathematics. And Ann's description is this. Oftentimes when we teach math, we try to GPS students, the global positioning system, right? Direct them to the right answer. And we have to stop GPSing students toward the answer and introduce the idea of productive struggle. Take away the map and help them build their own map towards mathematical understanding. And this is a little bit of the description of that. In our literacy work, we've taken a similar but slightly different approach. In this work, we've created templates that teachers can use, and there are 29 templates that are designed to take literacy out of the ELA classroom and distribute it into other places, especially the science classroom and the social studies classroom. Many of you may recall a famous book by former Secretary of Labor Robert Reich, Locked in the Cabinet. Literacy has been locked in the ELA classroom, and these templates are designed to unlock literacy and put them into other classrooms as well. So this group is called the Literacy Design Collaborative, and the group on the math side was called the Mathematics Design Collaborative. And it really does take the task at the center. What is the task students are engaged in? How does it reflect the Common Core? What's the formative assessment you can give to help students understand whether students are mastering the skills it takes to successfully complete the task? And then how do you ensure that it gets distributed not just in ELA but across the curriculum? The templates, and you'll see examples of these in other materials, look a little bit like this. It gives teachers an opportunity to fill in the blanks with their own questions and their own curricula. And this is trying to, like the math work, avoid the problem of sweeping clear any current reform and saying, how do we make the work that you're doing a little bit stronger, a little bit more rigorous? How can we help teachers have the tools they need to provide rigorous instruction on a daily basis? But it's not designed to replace the existing curriculum. So what are we learning about this work? We have several studies underway to learn about it. I think that one of the first significant findings, and this is from survey and focus group work, is that teachers did see this as connective tissue between Common Core standards and classroom practice. They saw the link, and not only did they see the link, but they were enthusiastic about that link. They also noted, and this is particularly important given the work of the two consortia on summative assessments, that there is tension between both covering the curriculum, the idea that you have to cover everything, and then using these in-depth modules. But there's also tension between assessment systems and the work here, and this desire, if it's not going to be measured on a summative assessment, then should I be taking time to do it? And so the work of aligning performance tasks or incorporating performance tasks into assessment systems is critically important. I thought some of the findings on this slide are also pretty profound, but in particular, the idea that teachers using these tasks had a new understanding of what their students were able to do. So their idea of students' academic possibility was enlarged by using sophisticated performance tasks or unsophisticated performance tasks. Just giving them a chance to do something in the performance arena helped them think about what students were capable of in a new way. They also felt like it was directly connected to students' college and the needs of college and career. Here are some conditions that support this work in schools and classrooms. This won't be familiar or won't be a surprise to many of you. Regional and school leadership, opportunities for teachers to work together on this work, not in isolation but together, and finally some case for how this is aligned in a cohesive way within a district or network. We're asking these questions as we go forward. Who can support this work broadly? How do we ensure quality on a day-to-day basis? Are there digital platforms that can accelerate this work or support it? in lower cost ways? Can we do this at scale? And we have a good fortune of doing studies to understand more deeply its impact on teacher practice and student achievement. And with that, we'll find opportunities for you to get more information, but thank you.
Thank you, Ash.
Thank you, Ash. Ash, I didn't know you had the courage to show the Linda Darlingham butterfly slide at the end of this. It's her signature slide. She did not show it. I want to just dial us back just for a moment on some conventional wisdom and some common sense around this conversation that we're having nationally around 21st century learning. You know, in the conventional wisdom and the narrative is something like this. To stay competitive academically, economically, and technologically, we need to rethink and redesign our educational system and our commitment to learning. But so if we are going to take this, and not just hand wave to this and take it seriously, what do we have to do? And what is our policy structure promoting in order to foster this change? If you remember that book around disruptive innovation, I believe the theory of action, if we think about it, the way in which the funding streams have supported the work, the theory of action is to really foster this change, what we need to do is double down on the assessment. Well, we need our better assessments, more balanced assessments, and somehow if we really put our effort and resources into those assessments, we are going to foster very significant change. The thought problem I think all of us have, and you may have had while listening to this presentation and others around the Common Core standards, where's the investment in curriculum and instruction and building the capacity of teachers, administrators, and schools to actually do this work? I think we've seen some examples of this, but trying to marry this assessment alone is not going to be so transformational that it's going to make the difference unless it's coupled with a focus on curriculum and instruction. So what we generally find is that we go from common sense, and there is common sense in this work. I do believe these are better assessments. These are worthwhile goals. I am optimistic. But where's the common practice to support the work? So I'm going to show you some work that we're doing in Ohio that was generative from the work that we began with Envision. So I want to speak about Ohio. Just the Ohio story was that the members of the Ohio State Department that ran the assessments, Mitch Chester, who's now the commissioner of Massachusetts, came to the Bay Area and toured the Envision schools and became very excited about the possibility of what students can do if you give them opportunity, that they will absolutely amaze you. So Mitch's dilemma was, how do I go back and make sense out of this in a statewide system? And what he came about was thinking about, well, I need to rethink our whole accountability system so that we could focus on these deeper learning ideas. Now, and also there was a reluctance from Mitch knowing that there was a long way to go from the project-based work that he saw in Envisions in small schools to how to bring this to scale in a statewide effort. So what Ohio came up with, I believe, is actually very much consistent with the philosophy behind not only the Smarter Balance Consortium, but also the PARC Consortium as well. So there's a dyad system, a learning system that has been put in place or beginning to be put in place in Ohio. The initial part of the learning task, these are formative tasks. These are richer tasks that may take 1 to 2 weeks of instruction for students to carry out, very much like the tasks that you saw at your tables. Teachers decide when and how to implement the tasks. They build instructional modules to support the students in preparing for the tasks. The tasks are often both independent and collaborative. Teachers and students are expected to work collaboratively with their class, with their peers, in not only solving the problem, whether it's a math problem or doing a history, social studies task or tests that you had on your tables. And then there's also a focus on not only providing feedback to the candidate, but an opportunity for students to have conduct revisions of their work. You know, Linda may say this is both revisions and redemption. We want to create formative tasks where students can do their best work. So once they've turned it in, they have an opportunity to actually make changes. And then finally, the teachers actually score the work and give immediate feedback to the students. So these are the smaller formative tasks that are embedded in the curriculum to support new learning. The assessment task is very much a much shorter task, much like what's being discussed both by Park and Smarter Balanced. It's an on-demand summative assessment. Takes anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes to complete. It's administered under standardized test conditions. Students work on it independently. Hopefully it's online and can be done interactively through adaptive technology techniques. There's also there's no opportunity for immediate feedback, and these are not scored by the teacher of record in the class. These are scored by teachers that have been trained and certified to be reliable scorers. So I'm going to move from there to the technology and what we need to think about in order to sum up this, this part of the talk. In order to manage a system of assessment, we need a new way of thinking about an interoperable system that could be compatible with the data management systems that you currently have available in your school, in your district. So the focus, and this was already raised, this is the same slide that, that Bob presented. There are things that we know practically. You don't have to reinvent every assessment test. There are a lot of task banks. There are opportunities to take those tasks, contextualize them based on the goals and mission of your school and your district to refine those tasks. So one of the missions of a technology platform and the Show Evidence platform is that you can not only have an authoring system to build new tasks, but you can also evaluate those tasks and refine tasks that already have been built so that you can begin to create this task bank that you can use as part of your curriculum instruction and assessment system. Now, many times when we have worked with performance assessment, and there's this great narrative that it's, by scoring the performance assessment, it's absolutely transformational. It changes your understandings of practice, but it's still focused on a rubric. And if your experience is like mine, rubrics are pretty impoverished no matter how well done they are. They're not that transparent to both the teachers and the students. So if you want to create an educative system, a system that actually supports learning, you know, of, for, and as learning, what we need to do is create a technology that will keep the evidence in the forefront of our thinking, keep the evidence in front of us as we look at these assessments. And what this system does, whether it's video, audio, or text-based, what this system allows you to do is dive in to any performance assessment, tag the evidence, meta tag what you think is critically important evidence to either support your scoring, to support professional development, and also possibly to generate new understandings and new knowledge. Just think if you can surgically jump into a performance assessment of students, the work that you saw at your table, and actually not only tag it, but be able to aggregate it and disaggregate it. You can actually create profiles of student thinking and their metacognitions around solving that task that would be a tremendously powerful tool to support new ideas, new ways of professional development, access to evidence that you've never had before that can really drive practice. And what we know is that good feedback, not only to the student but to the teacher, actually is the most significant predictor of student performance. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ray.